from his daughters because his daughter hijacks his computer. And what I told the lovely young Imani is, Daddy doesn't know much about computers, so if you want to use it, just use it. He won't be able to change it.
You got jokes this morning.
What?
You have jokes today,
Oh,
huh?
I got jokes. I got jokes for days. Jokes for days. Lot going on today. Today is the first day of school for like 70% of colleges.
Okay. All right.
You want to know something that's very 2020?
Sure.
Zoom crashed this morning.
Yeah.
So,
Isn't that
so
crazy?
you told all these universities to go virtual.
Yeah.
And then Zoom crashed this morning. And
Crazy.
am I the only person that finds that really funny? That made me laugh.
I mean, so it's working now, but what exactly happened to Zoom? Because I got the alert.
The whole thing
too.
crashed, and the way the Jets reacted to it was hysterical. The Jets, we have every morning a 10:30 media availability with coach and players and such, and it's on Zoom. And immediately at like 10:25, they're like, due to Zoom not being available, we're doing a conference call. Call this number. And like everyone's set to record Zoom. I wasn't set to record a conference call. And luckily, I didn't know this, but you could dial a phone number on Skype. I didn't know you could do that.
Download a phone number on Skype.
You can dial a phone number, not download a phone number. Dial, like I dialed the 800 number to get the Jets thing, and I got their audio.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And right in the middle of the press conference, one of the people goes, excuse me, who's on this call? And my mic was muted. I'm like, hi, Seth Everett. Who are you with? And I'm like, Sports Illustrated. Thank you. And then they put me back. And it was weird. And then during the call, Zoom came back, so they did the players on Zoom. And that's how I knew we were going to be fine.
Well, I mean, at least it's working now. That's all we can say. It's working for now.
Breaking news today in the sports world, the Miami Dolphins. Did you see my tweet? You didn't see my tweet?
I didn't.
The Miami Dolphins are allowing 13,000 fans in their stands for their opener September 20th against the Buffalo Bills.
Wow, really?
13,000 fans. That was a joint decision between the Dade County somebody and the governor, Lex Luthor.
Okay, so what they're letting the 13,000 people in? What do they have any kind of
Yeah, there's
precaution?
masks and very spread out. And the 13,000, I don't know how the fans are being selected of the ticket buyers. I don't know how they're expecting it, but they're going to be all spread out. And if you think about it, they're in a stadium that is 70,000 strong, so 13,000 is 20% full. If you spread them out all over the stadium, now if I find out that all the fans are in the lower bowl, I'll be few because that's transmission easily.
Well, they want the optics, right? So the whole point of having the fans is so they can show all the people. That's like with the Trump rally when he went to Tulsa. They had them all crouch in so they could just look and have it show that it was all packed in there. So that I would imagine that they're all going to be on the bottom row. That's what I'm saying.
That's what you think? I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know. Our boy Brett Axe wrote a great article. Said today is the biggest test for the Syracuse football team, and it's not anybody on their schedule. Today's the first day of classes, and we'll see. We'll see.
Did you see that interesting news about Liberty?
Liberty, the Jerry Falwell school.
Did you see that interesting news?
What new news? What, they don't test anybody because they don't have
So,
symptoms?
well, Jerry Falwell has been in the news quite often this weekend with those extracurricular activities that aren't very Christian-like.
Wait, Falwell's doing it or the students are doing it?
Yeah, Jerry Falwell. The
Oh,
Jerry
I didn't
Falwell.
see. No, I didn't see that
Yeah,
story.
yeah. That's
No,
great. It's been all over Twitter because he's
that's funny.
all over, all over.
No, that has a certain ring to it, but no, I didn't see that. Any
Yeah.
a word on Buckshot, my favorite quarterback? Did I name Seth Goldberg? I don't know. I got an email from a student.
Oh, really?
I'm gonna read the. I'm not gonna give his name.
All
I
right.
think it's a him. But I got an email from a student that said, "Hello, Professor. I love when they call me Professor because I feel like the X-Men.
Oh, Professor Xavier.
I'm all Professor X, baby.
Yeah.
First, I want to let you know I woke up this morning with a cough. I just had my home COVID test last Wednesday and it came back negative. But obviously, I want to play everything as safe as possible. I'm looking to get my second COVID test today, so I feel like once I get those test results back and they also come back negative, and hopefully my cough will have subsided, I'll be good for in person. There's a chance that could all happen by Thursday, of course, but for now, I'm planning to stay in and utilize whatever resources will be available for a remote class." I got that. And I said, I want to tell him to stay home. Am I bad for saying that?
Yeah.
Even if he gets negative, I want to tell him to stay home.
Of course.
That's,
I mean,
that's the way I'm thinking.
yeah.
And then the NFL, since we're on a COVID trick, because the NBA playoffs were amazing this weekend. That's the best thing going in sports. But the NFL had, if it was a drill,
Right.
it is their doomsday scenario.
Okay.
Because think about the NFL. They play on Sundays.
Mm-hmm.
Saturday night, they got word that 77 positive tests. 77. 4 teams. The Minnesota Vikings had 12. The Detroit Lions had a bunch. The Jets had 10.
Wow.
And if you found out on a Saturday with a game on Sunday, you know how intricate the game plans are. That is a doomsday scenario because I don't think any of those teams could have played.
Yeah, messes up everything.
They were false. They were false positives. But there was about an hour where they didn't know. And the question was asked. So what do you do if those aren't false positives? Just tell us your plan. And they can't.
They don't have a plan.
They don't know. They don't know.
They don't have a plan right now.
They don't know. And I'm just like, and Adam Gase was so flippant about it. He's like, "Oh, that's my doomsday scenario, so I can't do that."
Right.
Like, doomsday? That's possible. It's very possible, and it doesn't have to be 10. It could be 5.
And the thing about it is, they are waiting until something
regular
happens,
season.
and then they're going to they're waiting until something happens, and because they have no plan. That's my problem with a lot of you have to be able to say, if this happens, then this is our contingency plan. If this happens, this is our plan for this. It's like they're winging it. And all of the data that you've seen as far as outbreaks in different organizations, you should have a plan. You should have some kind of plan of what you're going to do. And it's like they're setting themselves up for failure, but I guess we'll see. But I want to go back to Syracuse. So they're starting off with in-person classes today, you said, right?
You broke up. Say it again.
Oh, you broke up too.
Say it again.
I say so going back to Syracuse, they started off with in-person classes today. Today's
the first day. There's pictures, and the Daily Orange is doing a great job. The Daily Orange, they've got their journalists out, and their social media has been great. They are taking pictures of gatherings everywhere.
And there's a lot of gatherings.
Yeah, Flint Hall. There was a big gathering. Flint Hall. There was a, they had the big thing on the quad. And from what I've heard from students is that row, Kraus, Comstock, down Comstock, There's
Okay.
all those fraternity houses.
All right.
That's where there's a bunch.
Well, yeah, that's it. Always is a bunch.
Sounds about right to me. Like
Yeah, I mean, is that a big shocker?
no, not at all.
Yeah.
No, I'm wondering about the when, because Thursday's gonna suck. There's no serious like Thursday's gonna suck. My plan right now is to leave here. I'm 3 hours and 15 minutes away. 3 hours 15. My plan is to leave here at like 10, between 10 and 11, get up there by like 1:30, 2 o'clock, teach my class at 5, like, learn. I have to learn where are the cameras in the classroom, and do I have to set up my Zoom link? Because if so, you're making an appearance, just for the record. Is that how it works? Like, or is there a classroom Zoom? Like, I gotta learn all that stuff, so I'm gonna get there a little early. So I figure I'll be on campus by 2 or 3, and then the class is from 5 to 7:30. And then I'm going to grab dinner. I may see our boy Paulie. Maybe. And then I'll head back. And so if you add those two, that's 7 hours in the car.
So that's all on Thursday.
That's Thursday. So if I survive that, I'll do a show with you on Friday.
Well, actually, I can't do a show Friday. I have to go to my son's. So they're having it for DeMatha. They're having a freshman experience, but nobody's going to get out of their car. So they're going to have all the parents come up there and bring the kids up there to drive around and sit in the parking lot while the head person
addresses them
to everybody from their car.
That's fine. I don't mind that.
No, and then they hand them all their books. They're making it this big thing, and it's cool. I mean, it's all right. It's what they plan to do.
Listen, they're trying to get people motivated and trying to get people into it. The first time you have any school experience should not be powering up your Chromebook.
I get it. So that's what I'll be doing Friday.
We had an Abbott and Costello conversation, and I'll just tell this just because I want to make Etan laugh. This is not relevant, but this one lady, this one mom, texted my wife this weekend and says that there's a tennis club that is offering tutoring service. You can drop your kid off, and there will be teachers there to help in person.
Okay.
And this lady wants to do it, but the way class has been, this is why I'm telling the story, the way we've been told is that 8 or 7:30, whenever school starts, for my kids, they are turning on a computer, they are logging on, and the first interaction they are going to have is with their teachers. Teachers, not me. I'm not involved in this.
Right.
What I've been told is that when they have their first day of school on September 8th, I can check in on them, but they're not going through anything other than they're online. So my wife says to the lady, isn't that when they're on Zoom? She says, well, they can help. I said, isn't that going to be confusing for the kid? Who's the kid supposed to listen to? And I just said, of the dumb plans, I said, did Rob Manfred make this plan? Because this is dumb.
Yeah.
This is bonkers. Absolutely bonkers. I did hear a good radio show this morning, and they said that there's still a chance that the ACC bows out.
Oh, really? As a whole?
What the thought is between the three conferences, SEC, ACC, and the Big 12, that the ACC has the most intellectual of the universities. And that includes Duke and Carolina and some of these other ones. And Syracuse is in there. I mean, but that as we get closer, they still might bag it.
Wait. Back up. The most intellectual. Say that again. Maybe
they're some of the hardest schools to get into.
Oh, okay.
Than the Big 12 or the SEC.
Okay.
It's harder to get into Duke than it is to get into LSU.
Okay.
Again, from a student population.
Okay, I got you.
So that's what I heard on the radio show. There's a potential lawsuit, and I tweeted about this over the weekend. There's a potential lawsuit for North Carolina because these students, and this is student journalism, folks, student journalism. These, and I think I sent you the article. The latest is they have like a memo from the medical staff at North Carolina. They can prove that in May they said plan on virtual. Don't bring students back. And they brought students back. And then 3 days later they sent them home. And what the Daily Tar Heel can report, and these kids have done an amazing job, and a lot of people were worried that they're going to get shut down. That the North Carolina is going to be like, budget cuts suddenly and you're out of a job. And then the Washington Post will take over this. But the Daily Tar Heel is reporting that they knowingly had kids come back just for room and board, and they recommend, and that there was never any inference from them. They had no medical proof that this was a smart thing to do. And then 3 days later, they sent the kids home.
Wow.
And it's a story, and I'll see if I can find the link, and I'll text it. I'll put it in the chat. Jim writes and says, question, some SU students question public security for not breaking up the quad gathering sooner. Is security in a no-win situation as if they broke it up too soon? Would they have been criticized as overzealous? Maybe.
I think that it depends on how they broke it up. And the fact that and this is the honest truth, Seth, the fact that they didn't break it up lets me know the demographic of the students that were on the quad. And the fact that there wasn't a big commotion kind of. Have you seen the movie Higher Learning? Let me ask you, have you seen Higher Learning? Oh, okay, so I'm going to make all these references to Higher Learning, and you're not going to know what I'm talking about. But there is a difference in the way that the DPS handles all of the so on Comstock, what you was talking about, all of the different fraternity and sorority roles, right? Where the Daily Orange is taking pictures of them all congregating, right? And DPS hasn't broken up any of those congregations, correct? So far?
I don't know that, but okay. I'll go with
there's
this.
There's been no reports of them breaking up.
I don't know. Yeah, okay.
Right. And this is just from talking to different students there. And so the functions that usually happen with the black and brown students was just usually in the underground or the big shine party that's in all of that had to be postponed. And it's just interesting the difference of, and this is taking it to a different place, but the DPS of how they will enforce different things depending on the demographic of the students. So to answer the question, do I think that the DPS should have broken up the gathering? Of course. If the rule was that there should be no gathering, then that should be the rule.
Yeah.
Flat out. No matter who is gathering, no matter if it's the, whoever, whatever organization is gathering, if the rule isn't no gathering they should break up the gathering. But then it depends on how would they break it up. Would they throw pepper spray and gas?
Well, I don't think it went there, but I couldn't. I'm telling you, I'll be the God's honest truth. I didn't even check to see what color they were. I wasn't thinking that.
Well, the reason why is because the conversations, of course, that I've been having all the time with Not Again SU students and the different, black fraternity and sororities and everything like that.
Yes, we aired your panel.
Right, it was my panel. That we're going to figure out how to get on social media. We're going to figure out how to get this town hall on. But the conversations that I've had with them, even now, of the differences of the treatment of DPS. And they were actually putting that point to me, saying that DPS should have not allowed anyone to congregate.
DPS is the Department of Public Safety?
Yes.
Okay.
For
I just want to make sure for our audience, if you've never heard that.
Yeah, but it's interesting that it is, and the thing about it, honestly, Seth, I think that from today is the first day of regular classes. I think by the end of the week, something bad will happen.
Something bad in terms of cases, you mean?
And
Boy, your internet's shoddy today.
cases, yes, yes, yeah. I know it's terrible, actually.
Yeah, your internet's bad today.
Well, it might be your internet. It might just not just it is my internet. You're not coming in clear either.
No. Folks in the chat room, which one of us is clear? The one I have monitors. I have things going. You're breaking up.
Okay, so yours is crystal clear today. Gotcha.
We're crystal clear. We are firing on all cylinders.
All right.
The happen Wednesday, so that I don't have to drive up on Thursday. I'm not looking forward to this. I read that email and I'm just like, I don't want to deal with this in the. I haven't gone anywhere. I mean, you have not gone anywhere. You're the definition. I have gone. Yeah, Jim says Seth's clear. You're not. I win. Get a new computer.
He said I'm not clear.
Yeah, he said you're not. That's what it says. I don't want to go. I don't want to go, and it kills me because it's the last thing that I feel when I talk about that place. That place is my Disneyland. I've said it before. I love that place. I love walking around there, especially in September and August when it's gorgeous out. And I love walking around and I see the buildings and it makes my brain like go into overdrive. And I'll come up with 7 new ideas for the show, and I'll think of this thing for this job and this thing for podcasts and all this stuff. And I'm not into that right now. I'm not in that zone. I'm writing out my syllabus. I have to have it done, basically this morning. And I'm writing it, and I'm just like, and there's all these COVID stipulations and all these rules. And I have to take a photo. I have to take a photo of my class to demonstrate social distancing and for contact tracing purposes if and when positive cases are out.
So proof so they can't get sued.
Well, what they're saying is if person X, because I'm an X man, so Xavier is in my class and he's sitting in the middle and his roommate tests positive. Now all the kids in my class have to be notified. That's contact tracing. Mm-hmm. And Cuomo said that people aren't answering the phone when the people do the contact tracing. Because when you go to the doctor and you test positive, they're supposed to give names of who the people you've seen in the last 10 days. And if they give the names, they're not requiring the patient to go out and call these people. And the CDC or some health organization is calling them and they're not answering their phones. Oh. They said it's hard to contact trace when you don't answer the phone.
Well, that's a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought so. I thought so. Okay, I'll tell you. We can go in 2 directions, and if the chat room cares, we can go in 2 directions. Both of them's gonna make you smile.
Okay, what's the directions?
Okay, choice A is Luka Doncic.
Okay.
Choice B is Kellyanne Conway. Which is more fun.
Well, the thing about Luka, our guest today, we didn't even tell our guest. Our guest today is going to be Leo Routens.
Leo Routens, ladies and gentlemen.
So we can probably save Luka with Leo Routens. We could probably talk about a little bit of Luka with Leo Routens. I would imagine.
Okay.
But as far as Kelly, it's tough. It's tough because on one hand, there's a lot that I want to say, but then on the other hand, it's family. And it's like when someone's having issues with their family, it should be kind of hands off. Do you agree?
Well, I don't think the campaign should be talking about her, but in the media you can, because she goes on all these appearances and makes an absolute ass of herself, and that's comedy. She puts herself out there, that's high comedy. And the fact that her husband is a Republican and he works for the Lincoln Project and can't stand Trump, that's comedy.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about that.
The stuff with the daughter, no, that's off limits. That's I don't care what her reasons are. It's just like I don't care what a player's reasons are for opting out. I don't. That's not the point. The point is that how much advice does she really give him? And secondly, why does he think that her appearances on television make any sense?
Well, first, I mean, to back up a little bit though, the reason why you have to give the stipulation that, you know, the what's going on with her, and especially when I read about, you know, her daughter and emancipation and stuff like that, why it should be off limits. And it's tough because they never, when I say they, I'm talking about like the Rush Limbaughs and Tucker Carlsons and, you know, they never say that people are off limits, or, you know what I mean? I was going back to some of the stuff that they said about, you know, different people's children when, you know, and I'm like, wow, like it's tough because they play dirty, but then, you know, it's like, oh, it's the kids, so give her a pass and leave her alone. You know, and honestly, that's how I feel with dealing with the topic. But it's tough because it's not reciprocated at all whatsoever, like in any way, shape, or form.
No, and that's what I'm saying. I'm thinking of it like a media person. I'm not in their campaign. In their campaign, I would not touch the kid. You know, I didn't like it when they touched Dick Cheney's daughter when they were talking about gay marriage. Like, that's a low blow.
I agree. I think kids should be off limit regardless.
Right, it's off limit. Kids are off limits. They should be. What I'm saying is, this is a woman who puts herself out there. She opens herself up to the criticism. I've watched interviews with her, and I think that literally I'm wondering who is giving her information, because she doesn't speak in complete sentences.
No, she doesn't. And the thing about it is, she'll say things that, you know, you can tell by looking at her facial expressions that she doesn't believe. And she's reading it, and it's complete. Like, everything that she has read just now is complete inaccurate information.
But then why is her husband publicly criticizing her?
Oh, yeah, well, that part, you know, it's...
Like, just having, say, hey, listen, I read it. Do you remember, and I got a lot of flack for this, and I'll make the analogy. Do you remember when LeBron James criticized Daryl Morey? And I thought Adam Silver put him up to it? Do you remember that? This is before we started this show.
Okay, now I don't remember that.
Back in September, and I know I did this show with you. I said, LeBron James, who is the king of freedom of speech, right? He came out and said that Daryl Morey used poor judgment.
Right. And I agreed with that. Well, we did have this discussion.
We did. And I said, I feel like Adam Silver called up LeBron James and said, could you take one for the team? Because this might help our relations with China. And it just doesn't seem like a very LeBron James thing to do. Even if what he said was accurate, it doesn't seem like it's consistent with every message that LeBron James has ever had.
Right. And then my point was that because I interviewed Adam Silver and I asked him about that topic specifically. And the point was that Adam Silver chose not to punish Daryl Morey when I thought that he should. And the reason why I thought that he should was because Daryl Morey's tweet was the timing of it. Remember, I kept saying
that's Drew Brees, right? That's exactly right.
So the timing.
You have to know the timing, and you have to know your audience.
No, and if it happened at any other time period,
it's no big deal. Exactly.
But it happened right before the players were going to China.
Landing in China.
In the air. I was like, come on now, you can't. So then they land. And there's this hostile environment. Everybody in China's upset. And they're like, what happened? What we do? You know what I'm saying? And then they stick the mic in front of the guy's face. Well, do you have a response to Daryl Morey's tweet? And they're like, I didn't even see Daryl Morey's tweet. And I thought that was irresponsible of Daryl Morey to do.
Correct.
And I definitely said.
But what I'm saying is, in Kellyanne Conway's situation, what I'm saying is, she is, it always seems like she has something in her ear and she's being told nonsense and she can't hear it well. It's like they have your internet. And she's not speaking in sentences and it just makes no sense. Jim says, to be fair and balanced, it's taboo to criticize a Democrat woman, but a Republican woman can be ripped to shreds by the media. Side
I
note:
think
Kellyanne is an idiot. What Democratic woman do you want us to rip? I'll rip her. Well, tell me somebody who's that stupid.
that's stupid. You have to use those kind of words, Sam. But now this is the thing. This is the thing that's different, right? Being critical of somebody is okay. There's nothing wrong in policy. We did a whole show here where I did nothing but criticize Kamala Harris. That was
That's right.
the topic. I criticized Kamala Harris. The person that we had on the show was more defending Kamala Harris. That was the whole.
That was the attorney.
Right, the attorney. There's nothing wrong with being critical of on the right or the left. My point was just saying that I think some things are off limits and don't belong in politics or in that criticism, and that's dealing with personal things. And I think that across the board, whether it's the right or the left.
And I think members of the media are getting criticized all the time. Rachel Maddow gets criticized all the time.
But it's tough when you have somebody like Rush Limbaugh. Now, I'm not going to keep...
Rush Limbaugh's a fool.
He's the extreme, but I mean, you have other people like Rush Limbaugh, saying things similar to
Sean
him.
Hannity.
Yeah, and that's the problem, though. So it's like, you can't have it, but even with that, I think that a lot of things that they do and the phrasing that I think that would be despicable, whether the person is on the right or the left. If they did that to somebody on the right, I would think it would be just as despicable.
Just as bad, yeah.
Yes, just as bad, completely.
And he writes, a side note, Tucker Carlson's killing it in the ratings. So is Clay Travis, and he's a schmuck too.
Right. But because they're killing it in the ratings doesn't mean that what they're saying is good. I mean, Rush Limbaugh's ratings have been pretty good. Sean Hannity's ratings have been through the roof. Ratings is not.
No, and that's Roger Ailes' whole point.
Yeah,
that was Roger Ailes' whole point. That was his whole thing, was just incite. And the ratings are big time. Yep. Right. I was in that building once. I did an interview with Blake Griffin. And I went in that building because he went on Fox Business. Blake Griffin was promoting something, and he came on Sports with Friends, and we recorded it in the green room of Fox News.
Interesting. Okay.
That was cool. I went there, and yeah, that's all I got. I don't.
That's all you got. Okay, all right, I got you. That's cool.
It was cool to talk to Blake Griffin, who's hilarious, by the way. Yeah. Blake Griffin's like a stand-up comedian, and he was pretty funny. And I took the stance of, so people tell me you're funny. You don't seem that funny to me. Like I did, that whole bit. And he was really, he was all in. Like he was, but we were in the Fox News building, and there's posters of Tucker Carlson, and the one I can't stand the most, the champion, is Laura Ingraham.
Oh yeah, she's tough.
She's rough, and she's unwatchable. She's unwatchable. And it was really funny because I was on Long Island this weekend with my right-wing conservative stepfather-in-law, and he had it on the whole weekend. And my wife and kids are still there, so the kids could go swimming, because today's supposed to be the last week of 90s in Jersey. And so they're on Long Island till Wednesday. And so I got the house to myself, and it's weird because I closed my office door, and I don't know why. There's nobody here.
Yeah, you don't have to.
I don't know. But anyway, my point being, they're going to be there for the Republican convention.
Oh.
And I just want to hear the words from my wife going, "We're coming home tomorrow morning."
Because they're going to watch the whole thing from start to finish.
I mean, Ingram's some kind of special.
Yeah.
She's another level. But Kellyanne Conway, how big of a deal? How big of a deal is this? Is this a big deal? Because, again, she just seems like a puppet. And I'm not because she's a woman. It's the stuff that she says.
I think it's a big deal just because of the position that she has. But, I mean, in the bigger sense, I understand why she's stepping down. And it's kind of a thing where, to take care of what's going on with her family. And, one of those things, like, I definitely understand it. Now is the time where across social media, a lot of people are taking shots at her. And I'll say that, family should be off limits, and I'm gonna keep that one. Family should.
I hope this week has dignity. That's all I'm asking for. Little dignity this week.
You talking about with the convention?
The convention. Just give me a little.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
Just give me a little dignity.
You're asking a little too much here, Seth.
I'm not watching it live. I didn't watch the Democrats. I didn't watch it. Oh, that's really funny. Did you see
I'm going to watch it. No, I'm going to watch the Republican convention. I definitely am going to be tuning in, and I'm going to see what the different. It's Trump is speaking every night. I read.
I read that.
He's speaking every night.
But I also read that couple, that husband and wife that were shooting, that pointed guns.
Yeah, they're speaking.
They're speaking.
Yeah. Yeah, and so I heard the kid that I don't know if he's a special invited guest or if he's actually speaking, but the kid that was at the thing with front of the Native American chief who was, he was looking at him all. Do you remember that case? I can't remember his name, but he's invited there as either a special. I'm like, wow, listen to y'all list of people. Very interesting. Now, listen. I want to ask you this real quick, though. So I'm just reading this where Governor DeSantis says that allowing.
Hold on. Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice. Or no. Sorry, I screwed it up. Hold on. 3, 2, 1. Meanwhile, at the Hall of Doom.
At the Hall of Doom. So he said that allowing football fans at Hard Rock Stadium gives people hope. That was the leading part of his speech. It gives people hope, and that's what is needed at this time in this country.
Here's a deep cut reference. I don't expect you to know this, but maybe somebody in the audience does. And then Solomon Grundy said, "We think Super Friends are going to go to Hard Rock Stadium." The Legion of Doom would have these meetings, and
that one I don't know. What is that?
It's from the Super Friends. The Super Friends were. This cartoon in the late 70s, early 80s. And for 1 year, they had this thing called the Challenge of the Super Friends. And I was 3 when this came out, but I can picture it. And it was all the Justice League versus the Legion of Doom. And it was this team up. And Lex Luthor was the leader. And the Riddler was there. And the Scarecrow was there. And then Solomon Grundy would chime in after they'd concoct their plan. And So when DeSantis speaks, then Solomon Grundy says, "We're Justice League Super Friends going to go to Hard Rock Stadium."
Got you.
Meanwhile, DC Comics had their big reveals. Did you see that?
I did not.
So they did something which is smart. Oh, and I have a movie theater story for you. AMC is on the verge of bankruptcy.
I saw that.
Okay. And they're furious at Disney for releasing Mulan. Have you guys seen all this with Mulan? Mulan's going to come out, and it's going to be released on Disney Plus.
Disney Plus, yeah.
However, you have to pay for a premium service of Disney Plus, and it's $30.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Now, what the logic behind $30 is, that's probably half of any person that's going to see Mulan probably has a family. Mm-hmm. So there's at least 2 people. That's $30 right there.
Right.
Popcorn, that's $15.
Yeah.
Drinks, that's another $10, $12. It's like $85, almost $100 to go to the movies. And if you have a family of 4, it's over $100.
Right.
So $30 is not that awful. For Mulan, and there's been all kinds of vitriol about it.
Wow.
And this weekend, Warner Brothers had something called the DC Fandome. And it was 8 hours, and supposedly it expires, but everything went on social media and YouTube anyway, so I don't know what was expiring. But they had the first trailer for The Batman, the new Batman movie. They had the trailer for Wonder Woman 1984. They had the trailer for the HBO Max Zack Snyder recut of Justice League, which is crazy. And you'll see where I'm going with all this. They announced Suicide Squad. They had Black Adam, The Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson. It was very cool. On the Wonder Woman thing, Kristen Wiig, who's hysterical, she's on the panel, on this virtual panel, and Linda Carter showed up. Wonder Woman, and Kristen Wiig wigs out, like she goes bananas, like, oh my god, I can't believe I'm meeting Linda Carter, and I thought that was really neat. I didn't see any of this live. I saw it after the fact, but the story is that movie theaters are going to have to get sold in order to save bankruptcy.
Yeah.
And the rumor is that Disney is going to buy AMC.
Interesting.
And then you wonder about some of, like, Regal, some of the other movie chains, whether or not Netflix gets involved. Because then Netflix has a theater that they could put their original movies in. And Amazon. What will Amazon do?
Yeah, I don't think Netflix is going to get involved, to be honest with you.
Why not?
I think their model that they have is working so well for them. They don't need to have a physical, like, brick and mortar type of a place. From reading the things about Netflix, they're really championing their model as being the model that, they're sticking their chest out because it works so well for them. Right. I don't see them but Disney could definitely be somebody that takes over.
They have the money. It's chump change for them.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Even though they've had huge losses. I don't know. I guess the question, and Slowden says, megacorps are loving this year. Look at the stock market. The question, from my standpoint, is what movie would get you to go to the movie theater?
Well, I'm kind of a hard person to ask that question because it ain't no movie.
There is no film that you're. No movie. Yeah, that's wild. I don't know. I think Wonder Woman would get me to a movie theater, and but I don't know when it's getting released, and I don't know. And the way I go to see movies like that is I would go like in the morning when there's 2 people in the movie theater anyway. Like that's when I like to go.
All right, that's good.
Because we have kids and
babysitters. I want to ask you a question. Let's switch gears. I want to ask you this question because I want to get your take on this. So Roger Goodell, over the weekend, he made a statement and he said he wished that they would have listened to Kaepernick earlier. And he said a lot. He said that
it's not against the flag.
It's not about the flag. He said that their intentions are being mischaracterized. He said these are all quotes. He said these are not people who are unpatriotic. They're not disloyal. They're not against our military. Yep. In fact, many of those guys were in the military and their military family. And what they were trying to do is exercise their right to bring attention to something that needs to get fixed. So he went all this, and I was like, wow, Roger Goodell said all this. Where was this, 4 years ago? But what was your response to hearing that? Or did you have any response?
Well, my response was I wish he'd said that then.
Right.
Because it could have helped a lot.
Could have. It would have helped. That would have changed everything.
Yeah, it's better that he's saying it than not saying it.
Okay.
But I think that the NFL, is really very culturally conscious, and I think what they want to do is put on a really good show. And I think the mostly positive response to what the NBA has done, I think the NFL knows that it's going to be 6 times the eyeballs that are going to be on the NFL. And what they say and what they do are going to be important. That's my takeaway from it.
When you say conscious,
say again.
Those words. When you say culturally conscious, those words haven't really been associated with the NFL. So
Never.
Tell me what you mean as this.
Never.
Right. So how does that? How does culturally conscious relate to the NFL?
I heard, and this is just a good inside source of mine, that the broadcasts are going to have a social message, and that players who want to speak up are going to get spoken to, and that anybody who has something to say is going to say it on camera, because with so few fans going to be in the game, they're expecting television ratings to be through the moon. And from what I hear is players will be speaking on social issues, and that was never made available to them in 2016. Right. That's coming from the league. I don't think that's a Fox thing. I don't think that's an ESPN thing or a CBS thing, because all those networks have different stances anyway. My point is I give the NFL credit I'm not taking away any of the past. I'm not forgetting anything.
Okay.
But I'm giving them a lot of credit, and I'm looking forward this season to seeing a controversy-free NFL season. Because, in my estimation, the NBA, outside of your president, nobody's really complained about the NBA. And we did 2 watch parties, and we haven't talked about the jerseys. And we haven't talked about Black Lives Matter. That's because we were busy yelling at Hakeem Warwick last time. But we don't talk about those things because the messages are out. I think the players have done a remarkable job of making sure Breonna Taylor's name keeps getting mentioned in post-game interviews.
Right.
Good job. Like, let's give credit where credit is due. And Rome wasn't built in a day. I'm not saying that everything's fixed. But give the NBA credit. And I'm saying that in October, you and I are going to be talking, because we'll still be doing this show, we'll be saying, I think the NFL is doing a very good job. Okay. And I won't reference, well, they should have done that in 2016. They can't go back in time. You don't have the gigawatts.
Right.
That's my line. You don't have the 1.21 gigawatts. If without the 1.21 gigawatts, you can't go back to the future. So just let's go forward and let's see what happens. And if the players feel, and that's where I think the best thing to be is, what are the Saints doing? What are the Vikings doing? Like, I want to see that. And I'm sure the NFL will make sure that word gets spread around. Because, again, the NFL is... If you think baseball, basketball, and hockey are doing a good job of catering toward the television audience, the NFL is going to take it to another stratosphere. You're going to feel like you're watching a feature film. They are going to go so hardcore in making this fan-friendly, and they're going to make sure that whatever the players say is going to be picked up on microphones, and it's going to be broadcast. And I just know that because my buddies are in the meetings, because they call the games, and Tom Brenneman is not one of them.
Right. I got you. Okay.
I asked my buddy, my good friend is Andrew Siciliano, and I'm going to ask him to come on before the kickoff. Before the first, at probably that Friday after the first game, before the first Sunday. He is the host of the NFL DirecTV Red Zone channel. And that channel, if there was a job made for him, he is absolute, and I'm not saying that because I'm his friend, he's perfect at this job. And what they do is they go from spot to spot, game to game to game to game. So what he does on the fly, he'll go, Cleveland and Chicago, the Browns are in the 15-yard line, let's go there. And then they go, they miss the play, and then he'll go, all right, quickly to Miami, the Buccaneers and the Dolphins. And he can do it on a dime. Right. And it's amazing. And if you can watch it, it's better than watching any game. And I have to cover the Jets this year, so I can't really watch him. But it's great. And what I'll ask him that same question is, what do you think the league is going to do? Because the league is going to have more eyeballs on it than ever before. And that's why I want to make sure that the NFL has these protocols down, because I don't want to see the NFL becoming a COVID thing.
Yeah. I don't see how it's not going to be a COVID thing, to be honest with you.
Well, I don't know either, but right now their tests have been, so far their tests have been really good. Okay. Less than 1% of their league has tested positive. They have the COVID-19 reserve list. The deadline has passed for opt-outs. Nobody's opting out. There's been injuries like you wouldn't believe. Everybody's hurt because they didn't have a proper training camp. But that's the quality of the football is not going to be there. Like, the game itself is going to be lousy. But it's going to be like watching a film. Like, you're going to watch this thing, and it's going to be... They're going to treat it like it is the biggest thing you've ever seen. And that's what the NFL is. And the NFL gets the ratings to back it up. The one thing this fractured country can unite on is that the NFL is king. The NFL is bigger than all three sports put together in terms of viewership. Right. And you want to include golf in that? You want to include auto racing in that? Fine. But in auto racing, a portion of the country likes it. Hockey, a portion of the country likes it. In the NBA, A bigger portion, but it's still a portion, likes it.
Right.
And in baseball, it's the old people like it. Did you see? You remember the joke I had a couple of weeks ago about the left fielder for the Angels that had to avoid the teddy bears in Oakland?
Oh yeah.
Remember
yeah.
that? Yeah. Did you see a teddy bear took one in the face? A line drive went right at a teddy bear and inverted his face, and it bounced out.
Oh.
And I was like, wow, poor teddy bear.
I didn't see that.
The NFL will be like watching a feature film right up to the point where the project bulb melts the film strip. I didn't read that ahead of time.
That's funny.
Jim says, maybe NFL players can be disciplined when it comes to COVID. Can we give them the benefit of the doubt for the time being? I don't know.
But the thing about it is that is always brought up, but my fear of that isn't the discipline part, isn't the going out part. It's the contact from the actual playing part. That's a bigger fear than them going out and breaking curfew and doing things like that, sneaking out to a club or something. I mean, you tell me what you think, Seth. Which one would you rate?
The scenario is there's a right guard on the New England Patriots. I'm just throwing a team out, right? And he goes out on Friday night. Game's on Sunday. They have a home game Sunday. So he goes out Friday night with his friend. And nobody knows, and he gets it. But it hasn't incubated yet. So Saturday, when he shows up at the facility, he takes a COVID test. Even if it's a rapid return test, he won't test positive yet.
Right.
But he has it. And then he goes into the game. Let's say he's the backup. Mm-hmm. He's the backup. And then in this play, it's the second drive of the first quarter, and the right guard twists his ankle. So he's got to miss a little bit of time. He has to ice it. So now the right guard comes in, and he has it, and he is lining up against, like, this close, like, to me in the microphone, this close to the guy in front of him.
Yeah.
And how is it? And now it's incubated. And he doesn't have a fever because most of the cases are asymptomatic.
Yep.
So he doesn't know, he has no idea, and he doesn't think so, and he doesn't, and nothing happens. And then he spreads it now. He in his, like they're pushing as hard as they can. And
wait, what was that impression again?
Like that's what football players do. And they're banging the helmets, and they're doing all those things, and they're going for it. And now it spreads, and now the defensive lineman has it.
Right.
And then the next play, the guy gets a sack, and now they're all banging each other. They're high-fiving and they're hugging. Yeah, we got it. And then like it's constant.
Everybody got it.
And and it just seems like it's spreading. Yeah. So Jim says, so why are Slowden's roar? Yes, that's what linemen do. They go roar. Yeah. Why are the Mets playing tomorrow? Using your logic about incubation, because there's only 60 games in the season. And they got 2 negative tests, so they think everybody's out, everybody's clear, so they're playing. They think they're counting on this, and we don't know. Yeah. You don't know. And there were 6 guys. There were 2 guys test positive, but there's 6 guys that stayed behind, and the 4 guys who continue to test negative are now they flew up, and from what I hear, they flew commercial. And again, my thing with airplanes. Right. And somebody did ask me this morning, are you flying to Syracuse? Do you think I'm flying to Syracuse? No!
Not at all. Hey, Seth, so we have 2 minutes before we go. We're going to bring Leo Routmans on. Let me take a quick bathroom break, and then we can bring him on. So you keep answering the questions. I'll be back in 2 minutes.
Okay, wait. I have a visual for that. Ready?
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna give you a visual. Ready? This is gonna be fantastic.
All right.
Hold. You you sprung it on me. Hold on one second.
Oh man.
Hold on. Oh, okay. Here you go. This is a little jam session here, and it's loading. There you go. Okay, so now we do that, and then we have, on top of that, we have the break screen. Look at that. That's a break screen. You can't see us, so you don't know who went to the bathroom. Look at that. And it says pause.
That's cool.
That's what it says. Pause. Stay connected with us. We'll be right back.
That's good stuff. You're the man, Seth.
I know. Hey, man.
Oh. That is real.
No. You can't. There you
You
go.
got me? You hear me?
There you go.
All right. What's up, fellas?
Nice to see you, man.
Great.
All right.
Where are you? You're looking good.
Sitting on my deck in Toronto.
Nice. I'm telling you, can I move to Canada? I want to.
Oh, it's I tell you, especially with everything going on, pandemic-wise and everything else, it's been great here.
It's awesome. Have you seen any of the hockey players carousing?
No, actually, they've been
good, right?
pretty low key. Yeah.
Yeah, they're in their bubble. All right, you want to come back?
Yep, let's do it.
All right. Give me 1 second. Okay. You don't hear music, but I'm playing music. Hold on 1 second. Okay. All right, and we go into our guest screen. Look at that! And we are back here on Center of Attention. Former Syracuse great, and of course played in the NBA, played with the Philadelphia 76ers, and he is not a candidate for their new head coaching spot unless he wants to break some news right here on the show. The great Leo Routens is with us. Leo from sunny, beautiful Toronto. Isn't it great to be in Toronto? What's going on, Leo?
I'm great. How about you guys? Everything good?
Oh, we're good.
We're okay. We're here quarantined and, dealing with all the stuff in America. You're not dealing with any of that stuff in Toronto. Talk to us real quick how different of a world it is right now in Toronto. First, start with from the coronavirus standpoint.
Well, I'll tell you what, right when this whole thing started, so March 10th, I live in Florida when I'm not here. So I flew to Florida because we had a 3-day break before our next game. And obviously everything broke, the season ended, and I stayed in Florida till literally July 15th. And I got here, I had to quarantine for the start of the bubble. And I'm going, oh my goodness. I mean, the difference between what I saw in Florida, how people are living, the absolute disregard for this virus and how the leadership was ignoring it and putting people in jeopardy versus coming here and you're seeing everybody's wearing masks. Nobody's taking chances. They're at stage 3 now, so things have opened up. But even when things have opened up, they're extremely careful. Everybody's very diligent about everything. The leadership has been unbelievable through the virus. So it's literally day and night from what I saw in Florida.
Wow. I mean, I don't know. We're
not surprised by any of that. Don't think for a second.
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough. Now, I wanted to ask you a few questions here. I retweeted one of your tweets a few days ago where you were talking about your reaction from what happened to Masai Ujiri from Toronto Raptors. Tell us a little bit about what your tweet is and your reaction.
Well, it all started last year at the NBA Finals. So the Raptors won the championship. And post-game, my job was to get down on the court. I'm doing the TV, so I had to get down on the court. And Masai obviously wanted to celebrate with his team, right? So we literally entered the court probably about 20 feet apart. I probably got on there a little bit before him, but right in the same vicinity. And one of the things I like doing every arena is I don't even show my pass. I just try to see where I can get, just based on a little confidence, right? So sure enough, I just walked right on the court. Nobody hassled me. Nobody said a word. Masai tried to walk on the court. Now you got to understand, this is I'm going to put it bluntly. This is a well-dressed black man, $3,000 suit. Mm-hmm. He's got security. He's got his pass in his hand, and this officer basically shoves him. I mean, right. You watch it. It's a violent push, and Masai tries to approach him again and shoves him again. And the whole thing just became, and the next thing you know, this guy's suing, saying Masai punched him and all this other stuff. And it ended up being, here's one of the greatest moments in Masai's life. Mm-hmm. And he's trying to get on the court. And thank God it was Kyle Lowry that came to get him. Kyle saw he was there. Kyle came to get him. All of a sudden they embraced and he was on the court. But, subsequent to this, it was just all this, like I said, lawsuits and everything going on. I'm going, you got to be kidding me. And then you do a little history. I did a little research. I'm going, first of all, this officer, bad history. I mean, this guy's a bad guy, right? The Oakland Alameda Police Department is not going to be on anybody's wish list for a police department you want to be taken care of by. All kinds of issues as far as black, white, just unruly things that you don't want to see happening. So. I basically made it clear in my tweet. I said, there's one difference between Masai and me. I got in because the color of my skin was white, and he got stopped because he was black. And here's the scary part. This is in a public forum. He is a known person. You give him celebrity. Certainly his celebrity is far more than mine. I'm some ex-NBA guy that played 100 years ago that nobody at Golden State's going to care about. And this is the president.
100?
Pretty close. Pretty close.
75, maybe.
And Masai's the president of the NBA champions. And, to me, it was a racial profiling that was uncalled for and certainly was disgusting. The whole thing was disgusting. And And that's what it really came down to. The difference between the two of us was the color of our skin.
Now, did you have any problems getting on the court whatsoever that very same night?
Nope, I just walked right on. And again, we were minutes apart and almost in the exact same area, only I had a different person. That was it.
And you didn't, and just for clarifications, you didn't have like your security, your pass like out like here so they can see or anything like that. You just kind of walked on with nothing, and they just let you walk on with no problems.
Yeah, it was in my pocket. Obviously, it was there in case I needed it. And like I said, I always play a little game in every arena I go to. I just try to see how far I can get without showing my pass. And but it was no issue. And here's the other thing you got to remember: it wasn't like there was this massive flood to the courts. Remember, Golden State lost. We're in Oakland, right? People were leaving the arena. People were upset. They were sad that their dynasty, came to an end. And it wasn't like a flood of people trying to get on the court. It was some media people and then team personnel. That was it. So really, and again, I mean, just here's a guy that's well dressed, looks good. And okay, if you're going to assume that, okay, Leo, this guy must be a basketball player. Well, Masai's 6'6", black guy. I'd assume he's a basketball player too. So you can't use that one. And I got in because
he looks the part. There's no question.
Every bit the part. Every bit the part. So it was seriously a sad situation that ruined, really put a damper on what was a wonderful night for Masai and the Toronto Raptors.
Don, did he freeze?
It's interesting because I'm looking at the details of the case, and you mentioned it that he then wanted to sue Masai, but if it wasn't for the video being out, they were just sort of went with his story. And a lot of times, unfortunately, when people say, well, let's wait for the facts to come out, it's just the police story of what happened until actual video comes out. And that's what we saw play out in this situation in itself.
Well, think about this. That happened about 435 days ago. Who had the video from day one? So while he's suing and saying all kinds of things, who had the video? The police had it, right? They had it. They knew. They saw the whole thing before we all got to see it, 400-something days later. I mean, So come on. I mean, and again, then that's the scary part is, we're in a public forum, man. Everybody's around. This is a public person, and that happens. What's happening to the kid on the street, the guy that gets stopped in his car. We see all these things happening every day. We just saw it in Wisconsin. I mean, when nobody's around, it's terrifying. It's how this goes on in 2020. I have no idea.
And and that's why I really had to, I messaged you as soon as I saw you speak out about it, and just said thank you for speaking out about that, because people hear it a little bit differently when they see someone like you and of your complexion speaking on this topic, because a lot of times when no matter what the position, whether it's LeBron talking about it or somebody else, there's this thought by mainstream America that we're kind of exaggerating on things. Like it couldn't have been this. That had to have happened. That you were literally right there and went on the floor with no. And it's just tough. And I wanted to ask you this: what is the difference and the contrast in the way that the police relations are in Toronto as to where it is here in the States? I mean, we're dealing with right now with Jacob Blake, and I don't know if you are familiar with that situation that happened, but. He was shot 7 times in the back over the weekend.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't, and all of their body cameras was turned off, or they didn't exist, or whatever happened, but nobody had a body camera. So if it wasn't for the person that was videoing, the same way as George Floyd, if it wasn't for the young lady who was videoing George Floyd, nothing would have happened. And the facts that came out from the police would have been written completely different, with the police not at fault whatsoever. But what type of relationship, or how describe the police relationship or system in Toronto and how it differs from that in the States?
Well, if I could jump back first and say, like when you say thanks for speaking out, I have a lot of wonderful black friends. I mean, I play ball. My best friends in the world are black, and I get a lot of friends that thank me for supporting, and I go like, look, the black people have been for 400 years. You've been fighting. When you're oppressed and you're marginalized and you're trying to use your voice. No, it's not been for lack of trying. I mean, you're on the streets. You're saying things. And look at the NBA bubble. Everybody's doing everything they can to send a message. Your voices have been there. The problem is they haven't been heard. So it's up to us now. It's up to white people that look like me, to use our voices to change it. So it's not a question of, like I said, it's almost embarrassed when somebody thanks me, because this is what we should be doing. We should all be speaking up right now, because this should not be going on today. And I think part of that, I think part of my upbringing, my parents were immigrants, came to Canada. Like a lot of immigrants, they were treated like garbage when they came here. But, we were brought up to respect everybody, treat everybody the same. And, you base how you treat somebody on their heart, on their actions, on their, how they treat you, not just based on the color of their skin. And so I think Canada gave me a different perspective. And sure, I mean, there's systematic racism everywhere. And there's issues that we're dealing with here. No different than, actually, it's funny when I remember Draymond Green was on with the TNT crew, and, he kind of, he made a comment about to Masai, something to the effect of, well, it's not the same. And, you really don't know, the Canadian black people don't know what we're going. And I just, everybody back here just said, are you kidding me? Like, this is where you got to be careful when you speak on issues, that you really got to know, because it is. I mean, there's issues everywhere. It's not a United States issue. It's not a Canadian issue. I think it's a global issue. And so without a doubt, there's issues here. Certainly, I wouldn't put it on the level of what we see in the United States and some of the situations that are coming up. But it's definitely an issue here as well.
How much do you think COVID and the quarantine has had an impact on how many voices there are? That people are home and people are seeing everything. They're consuming so much media and they're seeing it, because Etan and I have spoken, and there have been other deaths, and they didn't have the impact that George Floyd seems to have had. And with all due respect to George Floyd, I don't know that it's George Floyd. I think it's the perfect storm, that there was so much video, but everyone was home and everyone was there to watch it. And it just seemed like now there's real change happening, whereas 6 years ago when Eric Garner died, there wasn't any of this.
Yeah, I mean, that if there is some kind of optimism, you have to say that I sense a difference myself. I sense that, maybe with the pandemic, that the attention, people are tired of what's going on with their lives right now with the pandemic. So they're tired of even this stuff happening, right? Everybody's just tired of, the way they're living right now. They want to change it. And that includes Black Lives Matter. And I also think that, I think young people, they're on social media. They see everything. They expose a lot of things. They speak up. And I think the young people in this world are tired of this too. And I think to some degree, Steve Kerr has tweeted a lot about that he thinks things are going to change in this world because the young people, they're tired of it. Everybody's tired of it. And I really do hope that this means there's going to be change. There was a lot of talk about the NBA bubble. Should the players come back and play? And the NBA put a lot of money into that. When you spend $150 million on something, you're gonna do a pretty good job of it. And even if you look at a lot of things that are happening now, Trump and his big announcement on plasma, I mean, the NBA has been working with medical people for 4 months on what he's talking about, and they've been actually funding a lot of this. So the NBA has been ahead of the curve on all that. But I thought for all the players, this is an unbelievable platform right now, because people miss their sports. They don't have sports. And the NBA is global, and the messaging can continue. And we don't let it die down, right? And I say we all have a responsibility to not let it die down. I think you hear some of the players at the beginning of the bubble said, it's up to you guys, the media guys. I mean, you guys got to keep talking about this. As a matter of fact, we have a group of media that cover the Raptors, and they all got together and said, okay, before every game, we ourselves are going to have a message about Black Lives Matter and racism and marginalization and oppression. We're going to have our own messages, and we're going to send that out, kind of on the heels of I forget which player, but one of the players said the media should take their responsibility. So I think there's a lot of good things happening with the NBA being in play right now, in my opinion.
In August of all times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, let's switch gears a little bit because I want to talk a little bit of sports with you. The Raptors, man, they look wonderful right now. I mean, I gotta say, I don't even. You have to go back to the archives and give me the statistical analysis because I'm not sure. But when is the last time when the bench has scored 100 points?
That's the first time. That's the first time.
Okay, so all right. I mean, they looked the way that they operate, and they really have the type of a system where there's a reason why Nick Nurse is the coach of the year because they have really it runs like a well-ran machine. Tell me about what you're seeing by how their offensive run and how they're all playing right now.
Yeah, I tell you what, the more I'm around Nick Nurse, the more I just marvel at him. And he's not a good coach; he's a great coach. He sees the game in real time. He's got great communication skills with all his players. They buy in. I mean, all you got to do as far as buy in, go back to the NBA Finals, and all of a sudden he walks into his huddle. You got Kyle Lowry, you got Kawhi Leonard. He says, "Hey, we're going box and one." And you try doing that in the NBA today. Guys going, "Man, what are you talking about, box and one?" And he's got 100% buy-in. Guys going, "Let's go, let's do it," and it works, and they win. Right. So when you get that kind of response, every player that plays for him has a career year. Everybody's playing better statistically than they've ever played in one area or every area of their game. So he puts players in a position to succeed. And if you go back to last year, they won a championship. Nobody thought they were going to win. They had the second best record in the NBA. They had in-season trades. They had injuries. They had Kawhi and load management. And they still had the second best record in the NBA. And there was no intent to win 50, 60, 65 games. The intent was merely to get to the playoffs healthy. And then they win the championship. And then, I mean, they really didn't have a chance to celebrate as soon as they won. And then Kawhi leaves.
Left.
Everybody's going, okay, that's it. A lot of people said they wouldn't make the playoffs. And I'm going, wait a minute. This is still yeah. And so here they are. I mean, they're second best record and in the Eastern Conference. And same thing. They were the top 5 man games lost this season. And there wasn't a top 5 team in that category of man games lost. So this is a very good team that plays together. And now just everybody's holding their breath. Kyle Lowry went down in the game last night. So that's not a guy you want to lose when you got to go face the Celtics.
No, and a lot of people are talking about them and that Celtics matchup as being very, very compelling because it literally could go either way, and that's what you love. My question to you, and I'm going to open up a can of worms, is you're seeing Toronto build through the team concept, and it just seems like such an unpopular way to build because everybody just wants a superstar. And yet, Philadelphia doesn't know how to do it, and there's other teams that don't know how to do it, and there's more than a handful of teams that are just not only bad, but they're no hopers. And what I'm wondering is, what's the secret sauce on how you can find 7 really, really good players, but nobody that's on a first-name basis with anybody, and yet you can win 50-some-odd games and go deep in the playoffs with that, because why aren't other teams trying to figure that out?
Well, I think they are. I'll be honest. I went to the NBA meetings, at the beginning of the season when it started back in October, and I got the league was genuinely happy to see what the Raptors did. And the way people approached and talked about it, because think about it, there wasn't a top 15 pick on the team that won a championship. That's never happened before. All right.
That's
so
crazy.
Yeah, you had a superstar in Kyle Lowry. I mean, in Kawhi Leonard, but you had undrafted players, late first-round picks, second-round picks, all around them. You had players that were dismissed by coaches like Kyle Lowry. So what the Raptors have done very well, they're kind of, in my opinion, the new San Antonio, meaning that San Antonio really took over the NBA by great scouting, great development, great drafts. And if you look at the Raptors, they're doing the same thing. They implemented a G League team about 3-4 years ago. Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, Norm Powell, all these guys, they won a championship in the G League. They worked their way up. And like I said, Fred VanVleet's undrafted. Terrence Davis, who's an excellent young player, undrafted this year, and making a difference for a championship team. So they've done a wonderful job with the development. And then I really do think you got to have. I think teams just go out and get talent, right? Okay, look at Philadelphia. It's a good example that, yeah, you got some crazy talent, but part of that talent lost a lot of games for a long time. And I think bad habits develop. You don't shake a lot of those habits. You're teaching. If you don't put veterans and older players around these young guys, you just teach a lot of bad habits while you're losing. And then last year, you had Jimmy Butler and J.J. Redick. Where are they? I tell you what, I'd be giving my money to Jimmy Butler before I give my money to some of the other guys they paid, without saying names. But you can't just accumulate stars. You got to have chemistry. You got to have fit. You got to have guys that'll play hard. And the Raptors built a team around guys that have an edge, two-way players. Nick Nurse gets great props for points. But there's a simple rule with the Toronto Raptors. You don't defend, you don't play. And they all play defense.
On that same note, and I want to take you to this, and we won't keep you too long. Maybe this will be the last question. But
I got a Danny Shays question. Just hold on.
Okay, all right. Well, I didn't want to keep him too long.
No, but
all good.
You're going in this direction, but I have to get my Danny Shays question in.
All right, all good. So my son, one of his favorite players is Giannis. That's like his guy. What we study him, we're watching him. He's built like him. That's his guy. And last year in the playoffs, what Toronto did with Giannis in really neutralizing him from the defensive end was something that I didn't see any other team do. Talk about that aspect of it, because that was really special, and that doesn't get talked about enough, because that was a specific defensive schematic that was drawn up by Nick Nurse, and they executed it to perfection.
Well, you really had a glimpse of it in a series before against Philly, because what's Ben Simmons in terms of style? There's a lot of Giannis and Ben Simmons, and when I say that, I mean you don't have a guy that really wants to shoot the ball from a perimeter. Giannis is a little bit better shooter now, but you have two guys that don't want to shoot; they want to attack, and they both are big. And when they get ahead of steam, you got a real problem on your hands.
Right.
And the idea in the NBA is always, okay, if a guy can't shoot, gap him, all right, and make him shoot. But the problem is, if you give Giannis too much room, he's coming at you.
Right.
And when he comes at you, now all of a sudden you got a real problem. So what the Raptors did is, anytime Giannis got the ball, it didn't matter who it was, you get to him at half court. It could be Marc Gasol, the biggest guy on the floor. It could be Fred VanVleet, the smallest guy on the floor. It didn't matter. Whoever, as soon as he crosses half court, you get to him. You slow him down. You make him play in a half court. And then you play straight up from that point on. And then obviously the Raptors had Kawhi Leonard, who's a pretty good defender, or Pascal Siakam has got the length to match up with him. So that was really the key. And it's really funny because, again, you go around the league, and when there's a non-shooter, okay, let's say Jimmy Butler going into this playoffs he was shooting three terribly, right? What's he doing? He's getting into paint and he's giving all his three-point shooter shots because people are getting off and saying, okay, shoot the three. Well, now not only is he creating for his teammates, but now he's making threes. So now you got a real problem. But it was a great strategy, common sense, really. And it changed the series because Giannis really struggled from that point on.
Before we let you go, I just have a question about your former teammate. Now, you see us. You see who we are. You've been on my radio show before. You know Etan very well. You're both Syracuse alums, and I'm a Syracuse alum as well. Who do you think would host a better show with Danny Shays? Etan Thomas or me?
Well, what question was that, Seth?
I think that's a collaborative effort right there. You guys do such a great job together. A third man in would be perfect. You know,
I
you
had
make it
to.
the Syracuse threesome.
I had to. We both did radio shows with him up in Syracuse, and then he's been on our Twitch show a bunch. So the fact that we're having his former teammate on, it's just we get a kick out of that, and we had to have some fun at his expense.
You also had Roosevelt Bowie, my guy, on. I've seen
Yep.
He's been on with you guys, right?
Yes, he has. Yes, he has.
Yeah, I lived in Syracuse for a long time. I had a house there for a long time, and I used to tell people if anybody's in my house, if a 7-foot black man walks in at 2:00 in the morning, don't be scared. It's just Rosie, because he was in my house. He was in my house more than I was, and Rosie just shows up.
Yeah.
Like just literally shows up. Like my wife could be coming out of the shower, Rosie would be standing there. Like he just shows up. It's unbelievable.
He speaks really highly of you.
Yes,
You're his guy. So Rosie really speaks.
That's my brother right there. You know.
Yeah,
That's my brother right
and
there.
he's right now fishing in a lake. He literally every day he's fishing in a lake.
Yeah. He lives on a lake. He fishes all the time, and like I said, that's my guy right there. Rosie's a good man.
And my favorite Roosevelt Bowie story, which we have to tell, is he and I were supposed to do the Syracuse basketball postgame show, and his cable went out, and they won on a last-second basket, and he didn't see it. And he comes on as we're about to go on, and he says, "Don't ask me about the last play." And I said, "Rosie, how do I do that?" That's impossible.
That sounds like Rosie.
That's exactly it. Hey, continued success, and thank you so much for spending a couple of minutes on this. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Great to see you guys.
Good to see you too. All right, stay safe.
Great,
All right,
Leo
take care.
Routens. Yeah, see you, man. That is Leo Routens right here on Center of Attention. So it's great to check with him, and we can actually control this. There you go. And look at that. And we go back to... Nope, wrong one. There we are. We're back.
That was good.
That was great. He's great. He's outstanding. He's very good. It's just fascinating to me that why don't more teams be like Toronto? Because the drama of the unknown, and I'm not talking about Boston and Toronto as like these world beaters, but you now give me Boston, Toronto, and you don't know the winner of that. You don't know that the Celtics can't beat the Raptors, right? If you had to pick, you're going to pick Toronto. I'm just guessing. You're going to pick Toronto, but you're not going to say anything less than 6 games.
Right.
And there's a chance the Celtics win that. There's a chance.
There's a chance.
And that's drama, and that's what I love. And the idea that the winner gets Milwaukee, I'm in. I'm all in on that.
I agree.
That I love that. And it's
I would like to see Toronto and Milwaukee match up against each other. Yeah, that's kind of what.
No, that'd be great. Yeah, it would be great. It would be fantastic. But we'll see. And I've been doing these sports updates, so I've been hearing all these interviews with the Celtics, and they're poised, and we'll see. We'll just play it.
See.
It's why you play the games.
Right.
That's why you do it. And it's been good. It's very weird. It's August. It's August 24th, and we're talking about the NBA playoffs.
Isn't it crazy?
It's
hey,
so
the guys want to do a watch party with us.
Who does?
We're like a hot item now.
Who wants to do a watch party?
Ryan Blackwell wants to do one. Jason Hart wants to do one.
Oh, I'm in.
Yeah,
so we doing? Well, what day?
Well, you're going to be traveling Thursday to Syracuse.
We can't do Thursday.
So it would have to be Friday. I wanted to mix in and do a different game because we always do the Lakers game.
Okay,
and I saw
I'm pulling up the schedule right now.
Well, the Clippers play Dallas, I believe, Thursday.
Okay.
Thursday night. Same time, like 9 p.m.
Again with these late games. I won't be home in time.
Right. So it'd have to be Friday night. We do the Lakers.
Or Wednesday night. I could totally do Wednesday night.
Yeah, I guess Wednesday night's a possibility.
Wednesday night, you have... well, we have a problem, though.
What's that?
The night games are the Oklahoma City Thunder against the Houston Rockets. I won't do a watch party for the Oklahoma City Thunder.
I got you.
Nope.
Understood.
Nope.
What else?
That's then 9 o'clock Portland Lakers game 4. Game 5. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we could do Wednesday or Friday.
Friday, our options.
It's Friday, Lakers and Portland again, because it's the
Oh, but
every
the
other
times, they don't have the times out yet. Because those games might not all be necessary.
Ah, I got you.
You know what I mean? So they don't know. They don't know. But yeah, no, we're in for watch party. They're so much fun.
Yeah, they're fun.
So much fun. And I wonder if it's good. Like, we have the right number of people now. I wouldn't do more. We could do less, but I wouldn't do more.
So the right number of people are 3 guests?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did your friend like it?
He loved it.
He had fun? He didn't say a lot.
Yeah, no.
I'm not judging him. I'm just saying he didn't say a lot.
Well, neither did Q. So Quest
because Hakeem Warwick dominated it.
Right, that was the key. And the funny part is, Hakeem said, "Well, I don't know how I'm gonna last and be able to talk for 2.5 hours. Like, how is that gonna work?" It's like I can hang in there maybe for a half, but I'm gonna run out of things to say.
Nope.
You didn't run out of things to say.
Nope. Not in the slightest.
Like,
not in the slightest.
Right.
And, you know, the funny part about these games is, are you guys interested in doing... Hold on. Let me get the... So I might be able to do tomorrow. Tomorrow's Tuesday, right?
Right.
You could do Utah-Denver at 6:30 or Mavericks-Clippers at 9.
I mean, Mavericks Clippers is probably the more interesting game. Utah's not really the.
Of course,
you know.
It's late. Of course. I don't know. We can think about it. We don't have to announce it right here, but we can think about it. Yeah, this Thursday I am driving to Syracuse. Now I can tell you how this could all change. Get me some positive cases on Syracuse's campus, and I'm not going anywhere. We didn't ask Leo about Jay Wright. Did you hear the rumor about Jay Wright? There's 2 coaches.
He's going to go anywhere. You know, it's interesting. Sometimes they just throw people's names. Because I saw the rumor about Juwan Howard's name, and he said, "I have no interest in leaving."
Did you hear the rumor about Greg Popovich to the Nets?
To the Nets? I don't necessarily see that happening either. I would be surprised if that one happens. I would be surprised.
And then did you see the guy, the New Orleans coach? What's his name?
I'm drawing a blank.
Hold on.
I'm drawing a blank. I just used him as an example because I didn't think he should have gotten fired.
Hold on. No. Alvin Gentry.
Alvin Gentry. There we go.
Did you know what Alvin Gentry did in the bubble after he was fired?
What did he do?
He took the media out to dinner, including columnists that had written that he should be fired.
Hey, I've heard nothing but positive things about him.
That is class, man. That's very nice.
Yeah, see, and that's the thing. I don't have that in me. That would have not been what I did. I'll be honest.
You're not that nice.
Oh, not that. Y'all would get fired, and then the media.
I hear you.
Please.
I totally hear you.
Listen, no,
I'm not that nice either. We're nice. We're nice people. We're not that nice.
Not that nice.
I understand.
Right. Well, why? I'm curious as to why the Nets aren't sold on Jacques Vaughn. He seems to be doing.
He got a lot out of a ragtag bunch.
Oh my gosh!
They had 7,000 guys not play. And
yeah.
To me, that's Durant, and everybody's accusing Durant of Durant's going to handpick the coach.
Really?
That's what I've heard.
Why Durant, not Kyrie?
Because Durant's the man there, and I think Kyrie is. I think all the people in Boston that made fun of the Nets when they got Kyrie, I think Kyrie's not helping himself. He's not playing.
What do you mean?
He's not playing. And he's not contributing, and he's vocal as all get out. He doesn't say anything. He says a lot. He doesn't play. That's the argument that Boston had. Boston was like, he is all talk, no substance. And when he signed with the Nets, they knew Durant wasn't coming back for a year, but that would Kyrie become a leader on that team and then have Durant come in and be this great 1-2 combination. And so far, he's not there. And this is all stuff I hear because if you think I spend any time,
I mean, I don't. That'll be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how they play together and how they mesh well. That's going to be. I'm gonna because I don't know how they're so ball dominant. They're so ball. Both of them. That it's going to be interesting. We will see.
Andrew writes, I've been seeing rumors about Etan Thomas to the Sixers.
You have been informed incorrectly.
That rumor is as long as it can be coached virtually because he's not leaving his house.
Right. Yeah, pretty much. But I do think it's time for the Sixers to have a change of coaching. I mean, that's it's in some situations you're like, okay, the coach, this isn't really the coach's fault, but just as from a schematic standpoint, when I see the product that Philadelphia puts on and I see the talent that they have, kind of like what Leo was saying before, it's like, they kind of look like they're playing pickup a little bit. They don't look like they're, like Nick Nurse, when you watch Toronto, them cats are coached well. Like you can see it. You can see this.
It's wild. It's wild. And like I said, everyone talks about, the perfect demonstration. That's a team. That's what a team does. And I'm like, why can't other teams do that?
It doesn't always work that way. But also, it depends on a lot has to go well for a team to have the rhythm and the flow that produces a quality product. And a lot of times that has to do with personnel and coaching and the players, like you heard Leo Routon saying that the players buying into the system. Mm-hmm. It takes that too, because you cannot buy into the system, have great coaching schematics, and the players not buy into it at all, and it looks disjointed once it's on the court, so you can kind of just tell. But in the case of New Orleans, I think Alvin Gentry got a raw deal there, because I think it was like the setup. You knew that Zion was hurt. You knew that the message from the top, which means the management, was that to restrict his minutes, only play him a certain amount no matter what, even if the game is on the line. And then you had, all those different elements, and you were not in playoff contention, not serious playoff contention. So what did they want him to do? Yeah. Like, why was he fired?
What did you think they were going to accomplish? Yeah, I hear you.
That was messed up.
Where did you think, where did you think this was all going to go? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I couldn't. My whole thing, and we didn't even get to the Luka Doncic. So let's talk about this guy.
Luka. We got 20 minutes left.
My name is Luka, and I live on the second floor. I live upstairs from you. Perhaps you've seen me before. Come on. You don't get that?
I don't. What is that?
That's a song. My name is Luka. I live on the second floor.
I don't know that song.
It's a song. I live upstairs from you. It's a song.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very impressive. Very impressed with Luka. And it's interesting. Earlier today, there's a tweet. I was going to retweet it, but I didn't. But there was all of these commentators on draft night saying how Luka was not going to do well. Skip Bayless, my guy Chris Broussard. But they all were saying that, he's not athletic. His this is that. He's slow. He's up. They were just ripping him to shreds all draft night. I'm like, woo, y'all were all wrong.
Yeah, he's been just one spectacular appearance after another, and the social media star has been Anna Maria Goltis, who is Luka Doncic's girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
She is an Instagram model. And she cheers for him on Instagram. She posts videos and cheers for him. And they say that people want Luka Doncic to do well, so she'll post more pictures.
Oh, gosh.
I'm telling you, this is what I read. And I was reading all this stuff. What did you make? Can we do broadcasters for a second? What did you make of Mike Milbury's comments? And Mike Milbury, who has left NBC.
Mike Milbury, help me out.
Mike Milbury is a former hockey coach, and now he's an announcer for NBC Sports Network. And a lot of people think he was the coach of the Bruins when they were pretty good. So people think because he worked in Boston and New York that he's famous. He's kind of a tool. And it doesn't bother me because I don't see him that much. Like usually when I see him, he's on in the intermissions, and I don't watch the intermissions. I watch the games. You know, I'm not a halftime person. I do things. And Mike Milbury said there have been extraordinary focus, and there haven't been any women to distract them.
Oh, I saw that. I saw that. Okay, listen. All right, now listen.
Tell me.
I read that, right? I read it with my wife, right? And so I read it and I started laughing. I was like, yeah, that's not going to go over well at all. It's not. It was a funny comment to me. I don't know why. I did find it very funny, but I was like, yeah, he's going to get in a lot of trouble for that one. That's not going to go over well at all. So it was just. That was just not it just wasn't a very smart comment to make.
It's just you don't say it's the same rule as, to me, it's Tom Brenneman, the same thing. Now they're not the same derogatory comment, but it's the same dummy where you have a mic on, and he knew he was on the air, so there's not that aspect of it. But I don't care. All mics are live. It's the first thing they teach you.
Okay, I hear you. But on this one,
he wasn't hiding it. He did not know he was live. He said it to be heard.
Yeah, he said it to be heard. Do I think? I don't think it was on the same level as Brenneman at all.
No. But it's the same lesson of when you're on a microphone, put a model of professionalism and put a little bit of a guard up. You don't need to be that honest.
It's tough because they want for the media to be less, they want
I
understand. They want you to be able to, say different things and create. I mean, look at like inside TNT, with Shaq.
Those guys say all kinds of wacky
all kinds of stuff all the time.
All kinds of stuff.
But that's what they want. They want them to joke and laugh and everything like that. It's tough because what you look at as a joke is not going to go over well with an entire demographic. And it's one of those things where I knew he was going to get in trouble for it as soon as I heard it. As soon as I heard it, I was like, oh, yeah, that might be the end for you, buddy. You know what I'm saying?
Now, what did you think about Jeremy Roenick? Now, do you remember that one? That's from December of last year.
What happened?
Jeremy Roenick is a bigger name than Mike Milbury. Jeremy Roenick was an all-star. I mean, he was a great player, and he's an announcer. And he wasn't even doing something on NBC. He was on a podcast. And I have 2 podcasts that I love having guests that are very honest and open. And by the way, Bram Weinstein, the new play-by-play guy of the Washington football team, was last week's guest on Sports with Friends, and he was very upfront about all kinds of stuff. Roenick made inappropriate comments on a podcast, and the joke included having a threesome with NBC announcer Catherine Tappan.
You can't say that.
You can't say that, but it was on a podcast.
Yeah,
and
but
that's so stupid. Like, again, microphone, what are you doing?
But, there's just, you can't get too comfortable. Like, you can't, I mean, you're on air still. You know what I mean? Like, you can't think like you're, at the bar talking with your guys and you're, even though you're relaxed and you're playing and you're watching the game, you're talking, you got to understand you're still on air. So, no.
You have to know. Right, you have to know.
You can't say that.
You totally have to know. One of the times, it's the only fight I ever got in my 12, 15 years of knowing my late best friend Daryl Hamilton. The only fight we ever got into, and we got into a shouting match one time.
Okay.
And it was at the All-Star game in Detroit. Because, if you're going to get into a rumble, get into a rumble in Detroit.
Detroit? Okay.
We were in Detroit, and there was a cross in my headphones. And I had those can headphones, the big ones with the microphone, like you guys have.
Okay.
And we were live, and we were doing the pregame show for the All-Star game. And Daryl and I are doing it. And I found out that somebody pressed something, and I could hear the producers talking to themselves. So there's a booth producer, there's a studio producer, and an on-field producer, and the three of them are talking to each other, and I'm hearing it. I'm not hearing Daryl.
Okay.
And they're debating what to do for the national anthem. Are they trying to... Do they want to go to a commercial? Do they want to air the anthem? Or do they want to talk over the anthem? 3 choices.
Okay.
Now, my rule would be you should decide that before you start, but that's not my job. That's That's their job. And they're debating. I think we should go to commercial. I think we should talk through it. You can't talk through it. It's disrespectful. Blah, blah, blah. And they're talking to each other.
Right.
And Daryl doesn't know any of this. And Daryl... And I'm like getting frustrated because I'm trying to get a message to these guys. Can you please stop talking or get me off this chain here because I can't hear.
Okay.
And I'm getting frustrated. And Daryl answers a point that I had made with a question. Like you did. Like you just asked me a question. You don't prep me. You don't say that you're going to ask me. Well, sometimes you do, but you're not planning a question. Something comes to your mind and you ask the question.
Yes,
and
yes.
he asked me a question and I didn't hear it. And I completely ignored it.
Oh.
And I just moved on. We go to the anthem and he just starts going, "What the hell? Why are you ignoring me?" I said, "I couldn't hear a goddamn thing you're saying." And he goes, "Well, what the hell am I doing this for?" And I said, "Because it's your goddamn job." And there were a lot of expletives in there. And we had a fight. And I'm doing this for entertainment purposes. This is my best friend in the world.
Yeah.
And we started screaming at each other. So we finished the show, and he goes off to take a walk. I go off to take a walk. It's the first time in 2 years, we had known each other 2 years, that I had ever argued with him. And we go for a walk in Greektown in Detroit.
Okay.
You know Greektown.
Uh-uh.
Okay, well, no, when you played in the Pistons, you played out in Auburn Hills. You never went to downtown Detroit.
Uh-uh. We was always in Auburn Hills.
Yeah, that's funny. Because they built the Comerica Park and the new Lions Stadium right in the heart of downtown. And when you walk out the park, you're in Greektown.
Okay.
I don't think there's a white person for miles.
Okay.
And we're walking, and we talked it out, and we got calm, and I said, there was this cross, and I couldn't hear you, and he's like, it's frustrating because I'm trying to make a good point, and I'm trying to do a good show, and you're not helping, and I said, I'm not helping because I'm not hearing you, and, we had we had it out. So we hug, and we're friends again, and then we get to a bar, and when I say, there is no one with light pigment on their skin at this bar.
Okay.
And Daryl says, "You want to be straight? You want to make it total 100% makeup?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Have one drink with me in this bar." He goes, "I want to see you do it. I want to see that you can do it." He says, "If you can have a drink with me in this bar, all is forgiven. We're all good. We're all the way back."
Okay.
So I go in there and I got looks like, what the hell is this white guy doing in this bar? Yeah. And they were looking at me like I had 3 heads. It was so awkward. And we sat at the bar, and these people are looking at us, and Daryl goes, "Let me order."
Let me order. He was just messing with you.
He was messing with me. It was so funny. It was so much fun. But that's the only fight I ever got into. But that's what I mean by... Like, stuff happens behind the scenes that no one knows.
Right.
No one knew that, if anything, people knew that I ignored his point.
Right.
No one knows that what I'm hearing. And, like, in Milbury's case, like, he has to know he's on the air. Like, you can't say the things that you'll say in the dressing room or on the bus or on the plane. That's not what you say. And I don't even think it's that derogatory a comment. Like, I've heard that comment before. Like, don't see any women before the night before the big game. Like, get your focus and blah, blah, blah. I've heard that before.
Yeah, plenty of times.
Because men are pigs. That's what men are. Like, that's what it is. Yeah. And but you can't say that on the air.
Nah, I can't say that.
He's so stupid. He's so dumb. Roenick, it's the same thing. Yeah, and Roenick, like, you can think it. You can ask Catherine happen if she wants to join him and his wife for a threesome. That's fine. You can't do it on the air.
Right. I agree. No, you can't. You cannot.
Yeah.
That's just it. You can't.
All right. So this week we have one goal. I want the minimum number of positive cases at Syracuse University to go all virtual. That's what I'm rooting for. I want a small outbreak. I want everybody healthy. I don't want any kids to get really sick, but I want something to say, you know what? We're going to go all virtual. Because I just don't feel right about it. I feel really weird. I have not been, when New York City was the hot spot and when New Jersey was the hot spot back in April. Remember what I used to say? I don't go anywhere. I haven't been anywhere. I got my results for my antibody test. I don't have the antibodies. There's no way I have the antibodies.
Right.
I haven't been exposed to it at all. And I feel like I'm going into a hotbed.
Right.
I don't know.
I
don't want to. And I don't want to give up because that's the wrong attitude too.
Right.
I could opt out. I could say, can someone else teach this class? I don't want to.
I mean, honestly, you know if I was in your position.
You would insist on virtual.
Yeah, I would have opted out and gone virtual.
No, you would have said, I'll do it, but I'll do it virtual.
I'll do it virtually. Yeah.
Andrew says he doesn't like the song My Name is Luca.
Okay.
I live upstairs from you. Yes, you've seen me before. That's Luca. That's my Luca.
So before we go, so Syracuse is still, they're going to play Liberty, right?
Yeah. So Liberty, I found the story. This is when you were when we went into break.
Okay. Did you see the stuff with the pool boy and the
pool boy? What's his name?
I don't know.
No, he's got a name. Everybody has a name.
I was like, wait, this is what's going on with him?
Yeah, that was. I read it. So basically, Jerry Falwell was watching his wife have sex with the pool boy.
With the pool boy. Yeah.
Which, by the way, if you do a Google search on that, you'll see a lot of videos about that exact thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that's Jerry Falwell, and he's just a hypocrite. He's a hypocrite, and like I said, I don't mind his belief system, but he's a phony when it comes to his belief system, and his belief system is racist, they're sexist, and they're not fair to humans. And people go to that school willingly.
Yeah.
And I don't understand that.
Right.
And I don't understand it. And the black people that were mad on the football team, they're mad. And I was just like, you chose to go to Liberty. And I would ask every one of those kids, was Liberty the only school that offered you something?
Right. Yeah.
You chose to go there.
Yeah.
I couldn't understand it. And I didn't understand why we played there. And I remember the night that we played at there last year, it was on ESPN Plus, and we did a remote from a bar in Syracuse, and all the TVs had to be smart TVs to get the game because it was on ESPN Plus. And it was only Liberty. Only Liberty. And we're like, give me a goddamn break. And Eric Dungy kept saying, Eric Dungy, the former quarterback, he's sitting there, and that was our first game together. And he and I were talking, and he goes, "Don't ask me to name any player on the Liberty team." He goes, "I'm not looking at anything on the Liberty team." I said, "I don't care. That's totally fine." I said, "And do me one favor. Just the quarterback's nickname is Buckshot. Just call him that."
Just call him Buckshot.
Just call him Buckshot. And then that Monday, I said, "Let's name Goldberg Buckshot."
Yeah.
And it didn't stick.
Yeah.
It didn't stick. All right, so we don't know when we're doing shows. We have to figure all that out. Yeah, Falwell is trash. Wait, pool boy? It's barely even Christian. Google it. It's a treat. I did during the commercial break, and boy, do I want to read more.
Yeah, no, there's a lot involved. There's a lot involved.
It's deep trash. I mean, it's the definition of trash.
Yeah, it is.
And like I said, I don't. Now, hold on. I want to clarify one thing.
Okay.
I don't mind if people are into that. I am a very open-minded person.
Okay.
If you are into that, that's your thing. I have no problem. And if you're a friend of mine, I'm going to ask if I can watch. I'm not against that. What I'm saying is you cannot have a moral bullshit high ground and then do that.
Right.
Don't be a hypocrite. It's not that he's watching his wife have sex with a pool boy. I don't care about that.
Yeah.
It's who he is, what he says he stands for. And then Andrew says, this is not the model, Seth. The model is get the kids enrolled, get the kids on campus, have their tuition payments processed. By then, COVID clusters will have developed, then switch to remote distance learning. Yes, but Andrew, can all of that happen by Thursday? If all of that can happen by Thursday, we're fine. We're fine. And I said over the weekend, if the ACC cancels their season,
Okay.
I will watch Alabama and Auburn and LSU, and I want to see how it goes. Just like I'm going to watch the NFL, and I want to see how that goes.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be the guy who says, I told you so. Not for those sports. For baseball, I was right. That's hodgepodge to say the least.
Right.
That was rejiggered together and put together and is stupid. And that is stupid. But what can I tell you?
I agree. So we will see here soon.
Sloan says, it's an exciting time to be alive. Yes, it is. That's what Kevin Smith said on Saturday when the DC Comics announced all their stuff. That Wonder Woman 2 and the Justice League and the Batman movie and the Black Adam movie and the Suicide Squad. And he goes, what an amazing time to be alive. He goes, I'm going to take all my because he had a big heart attack. He goes, I'm taking all my medicine because I need to see all these movies.
Wow.
So, it's a great time to be alive. All right. We will see you soon. Probably tomorrow. I think we're on tomorrow.